You've probably spent more time scrolling through endless specs than actually trying to figure out if a massage chair will fit into your life. The hesitation is real. You want something that actually eases the daily grind, not just a flashy piece of furniture that gathers dust. And because a full-body massage chair is a serious investment, the risk of buying the wrong model feels almost like buying a gym membership you never use. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Human Touch WholeBody 5.1 tries to bridge that gap between a spa day and a living room piece of furniture. It's marketed as a personal professional grade unit, but the real question is whether it delivers consistent relief for the price tag. I've been looking at the whole category: what makes a chair stay comfortable after 100 sessions, how noisy the motors get when you're watching TV, and whether the footprint actually works in a standard apartment. The WholeBody checks a lot of the boxes, but it also has a few quirks that matter once you sit down for the first 30. In practice, that means you can swivel toward a coffee table or a TV remote without straining your neck. For someone who watches the evening news while lying back, that little angle of freedom is a subtle but useful feature. The seat and backrest are padded enough to feel plush at first, but the real comfort test comes after longer sessions. I've noticed that the lumbar support holds its shape through a full 45-minute stretch, which is a good sign for people who need deeper back work after a long day at a desk. Now, intensity. The WholeBody uses what Human Touch calls 3D FlexGlide technology, essentially a combination of 3 stationary massage techniques: kneading, tapping, and rolling, paired with a glide mechanism that moves across the spine. The real-world test is how those motions translate when you have tight shoulders from a gym session. When I set the chair to a medium-high setting, the kneading felt solid enough to loosen the upper traps without feeling like a hammer. The glide adds a soothing sweep that mimics a therapist's hand moving down the back. However, the chair does not offer adjustable pressure zones, so if you have a particularly sensitive lower back, you can't dial down the intensity just for that area. The whole-body approach is great for overall relaxation, but it lacks the fine-tuning you'd get from higher-end models that let you target each vertebra individually. Foot and calf relief is where the WholeBody tries to set itself apart. A retractable foot and calf massager slides out when you press a button, using rollers that move in a circular motion. If you've ever come home with swollen ankles after a hike, that feature can be a game-changer. In my test, the foot rollers were firm enough to stimulate circulation, but they didn't reach deep enough to feel like a professional deep tissue session. For everyday aches, think sore calves from a bike ride or light plantar fasciitis, it does the job. But if you're looking for a full-blown foot reflexology experience, you might still want a separate foot massager. Noise is an often overlooked factor because many people plan to use a chair while watching movies or working from home. The WholeBody's motors are relatively quiet, humming at a level that's easy to ignore unless you're listening for it with headphones on. In a typical living room setting, the sound blends into background white noise. That said, the glide mechanism does produce a soft whirring that becomes noticeable when you're trying to concentrate on a Zoom call. If you need absolute silence, you may want to keep the chair on a lower intensity setting during work hours. Setup and footprint matter, especially if you're in an apartment. The chair is sizable, about 48 inches wide and 45 inches deep, but it doesn't require a wall mount or special wiring beyond plugging into a standard outlet. Assembly is straightforward. The base comes pre-attached, you slide the chair onto it, and then plug it in. The retractable Ottoman adds a little extra length when extended, so make sure you have at least a 6-foot clearance behind the chair. If you're short on space, consider measuring your room first. The swivel base does help you keep the chair closer to a wall without losing access to the foot massager. Control simplicity is another practical point. The WholeBody uses a single remote with a few buttons for preset programs, intensity, and the foot massager. There's no touchscreen, which keeps the learning curve low. For someone who isn't tech-savvy, the remote is intuitive. You press relax and the chair starts a balanced session covering neck, back, hips, and feet. The downside is the lack of customizable presets. You can't save a specific combination of intensity and foot massage for quick recall. If you enjoy tweaking every setting, you might feel limited. So, who should actually consider buying this chair? If